Let's you screen that again. There we go, the
Recording
recording.
in
It
progress.
is in progress.
Blech.
Okay. I have a few notes.
Testing. Okay, that's fine.
Actually,
I
hold on.
blew out a couple times yesterday.
I'm just looking at
Testing. Okay, that's great.
testing.
That's great. Testing. Testing.
Yeah. Okay. I just needed to look at the plot synopsis one more time.
Um, yeah, this
Which
was
I
a this is well, I also had to write the fucking synopsis. I definitely use the internet for it, but like
yeah.
it's funny because
It is
well,
kind of a
we
what
talk
happened
about it.
again sort of episode, yeah.
I
Okay.
when I was writing the fucking okay, there it is. I'm blowing out again. When I was writing the fucking synopsis, there was stuff where it's like, oh wait, I forgot that happened. I
Yeah, that
forgot
just
that
happened
like,
when I was looking at the short one.
oh shit, wait, oh god damn it, I'm not ready because I forgot to fucking write the fucking god kid. All right, you want to go take a shower? I'm sorry,
Um,
I fucked up.
Hold on, I'll hit pause and
I'm
I'll do
missing
that
a
because
fucking
okay.
because I forgot about the kid who got shot in the back, and I was like, oh, I didn't fucking put the kid in the fucking trivia, so I should probably at least put something since he
Okay,
was.
I'll go do power through
Yeah,
that then and I'll hit the
sorry, just do
pause.
that. Y-
Wow,
Yeah,
I bet it
I've.
was amazing effect on Zoom where my hair just suddenly became very wet. Not on YouTube, whatever.
We'll never tell why.
No,
Never.
no, we
Secret.
just did.
Trade secret.
Everyone listening knows the secret. Um,
Testing. Okay. All right, you ready to do this thing?
yep.
Welcome to Podcast 1999, the podcast about tyrants.
The Tyrant.
It's just one.
One tyrant.
Actually, there's
Well,
kind of
there's
two of
really
them.
two in this episode, isn't there?
I don't know. Is
Yes.
Octavio a tyrant?
Well, he
No,
pretends to be a
no,
tyrant. He wants to be. He's a wannabe tyrant.
no. He's not a tyrant. He's like a little finger.
He's a little finger. That's right.
He's a little
Okay.
finger.
Hi,
Is Mark
it's Matt. It's podcast 1999. We're doing Planet of the Apes,
the
which is the
tyrant?
tyrant. We already said that. It was like the pause was because I was like, should I really say that again? And I hadn't really come down on it. Um,
This
before we
is
even
funny. Go ahead.
before we even get to any of your trivia or synopsises or anything, I think the major failing of the show, not necessarily failing even though, is that you come in and you're like, oh, they didn't have as much money, so the apes are going to look crappier, which they do a little bit. But the big problem is, we've said before, but especially all the gorillas look exactly the same. So at first I was like, hey, this guy's a good substitute Urko with Arboro. And then later in the episode, I'm like, wow, this is a really good Urko. I'm like, oh, this is Urko because they look the same.
I thought he looked a little different. Like,
They
didn't
look
you
a
think that he
little
had a little
different.
mask? The mask was a little different. Like they used a different kind of mask for him or something.
I don't know. And then all the lieutenant gorillas. It took me like 5 episodes to realize it wasn't necessarily the same actor. So chimpanzee's a little bit better. They're having there's a little more distinctness there. And we don't get so many orangutans on the show. So, but yeah, this one I think you were saying too. You're like, oh my God, I need Wiki for the plot synopsis on this one. I don't think Wiki has a plot synopsis, but
Yeah, they
yeah, it's
do. I
like
mean, there is a site that recaps this.
there
It's
is a
just
site that
not.
recaps it. It's just
It's
not
not a
actively.
site with the word wiki in the title, but who cares?
Planet of the Apes
It's all. It's
fandom.com if anyone's looking for it.
That's not it actually. It's something else. It's called
That's the
like
one I
TV
was looking at.
recap or something.
Okay, well, I'm telling you the one I looked at. So, uh,
Okay, so there's even more.
right. Okay. Anyway, sorry, I was interrupting you if you wanted to throw in a point.
Oh, I was gonna say that it's funny that Inside Baseball. I talked to you yesterday after I'd watched about 10 or 15 minutes of this. So I was like, yeah, it's pretty much seems like just the same as all the other episodes. Humans are hiding them out, gorillas come giving 'em a hard time, and then it goes, well, it's like a lot of the other episodes, but more so.
Yeah, I see. I recently did a Twilight Zone where I said this too. I'm like, oh, it just feels like they're kind of doing the greatest hits of earlier episodes. That was Stopover in a Quiet Town. And I was like, oh, it's good, but like everything in here is in a previous episode, which the Tyrant kind of smells of that. I actually had the
Kind
opposite
of.
thing where I was maybe because I watched that recently and had down the mind, I was like kind of in it for a little while, and then it just kind of like it just kept going on. I was enjoying the 70s style subterfuge, but now it's just dragging on and on. That's about in the middle of my notes. So I was kind of the opposite of you, where I was a little more checked in at first and then checked out later.
I was so amused by how ridiculous Galen's he's gone like so far into cosplay now where his characters are just getting more and more ridiculous.
I love
Like
that
Octavio
costume
is
to be.
ridiculous. Yeah, it's
Yes.
great. And then he just does this like masked weirdo Joker guy at the end, which Urko immediately, we get a lot of Urko. We get another, nightmarishly creepy evil gorilla with like an emblem that looks like the Eye of Thundera.
Yeah, I wrote that ape logo looks a bit like Thundercats.
Or maybe the Eye of Thundera looks like that because I
Yeah.
think that the people who developed Thundercats worked on this. Um,
Really? Oh, okay.
Maybe.
That might be that's amazing if it's a real connection. So it's like, hey,
Let
remember
me
that dumb
see.
ape logo we did that one time?
Because it's like Ruby Spears that developed this. Did they work on Thundercats?
I
I
don't
don't
know. Why don't you start on trivia and I'll
know.
check that trivia while you're doing your trivia.
Maybe they didn't. Okay,
Okay.
well, whatever. I'm sure that whoever made Thundercats watched this. um, 13th in production order and 11th broadcast. This episode has, say it with me, yet another first and only time director and writer,
I
Ralph
can't say anything
Sineski.
with you. I'm looking up the Thundera stuff.
That's for the listeners. They're saying it with me. They said it. Ralph Sineski is in the director's chair. He was born in 1923 in Mason City, Iowa, and began his career directing community theater. He is, as of this recording, actually the last surviving person to have directed an episode of Star Trek the original series. And he didn't just direct one episode, he directed 7. That's 2 in season 1, 4 in season 2, and 1 in season 3. He also directed the Twilight Zone episode Printer's Devil, one episode of Night Gallery, and various other mostly TV projects before retiring in the mid 80s. An interesting quote from him says, "Directing episodic television is like jumping on a freight train in motion. As a director, you have to jump on and not break your legs. Once you've boarded it, you must climb on top of the train and run across, get into the engine, and take over running it. Much of what happens is that before you can bring anything personal to a story, which you have to do, you have to get acquainted with who the people are. That's not in terms of who you want them to be, but who they already are, because you catch them as ongoing, already established characters. You do that, and then you can start to find the warts and different things to do, finding outlets and ways that you can extend and expand." I love quotes where someone takes a metaphor and just takes it and takes it and takes it and takes it. Anyway, the writing credit goes to Walter Black. There isn't much of a bio and IMDb on him, but he wrote 20 out of the 64 episodes of Space Ghost, and 4 episodes of The Jetsons, and 7 episodes of Johnny Quest. His final credit was 5 episodes of Hawaii Five-O not long after writing this episode. Percy Rodriguez. That's with an S. I mean, his Rodriguez ends with an S, not Percy.
Hmm.
He guest stars as the
Percy's.
Yes, he's more than one Rodriguez. Sorry. He guest stars as the titular tyrant, Aboro. He was a Canadian actor of African and Portuguese descent born in Montreal in 1918. After multiple jobs narrating documentaries and several stage roles, he transitioned to screen acting by the late 50s. Mostly known for breaking down racial barriers by tackling early white collar roles, he played Portmaster Stone in the Star Trek episode Court Martial. He played Charles in Carol from Another Christmas, a Rod Serling production you can hear me and Matt talk about on the Time Enough podcast. You can see him in Arthur Haley's The Money Changers. That was the writer of Airport. He voiced Lochnar in Heavy Metal, and he narrated both Deadly Blessing and Captain EO. He retired in the late 80s and passed away in 2007 at the age of 89. As Janor, we have Michael Conrad. Born in 1925 in New York City, he was tall and powerfully built and mostly cast in supporting roles. He played the deputy sheriff in the Twilight episode Black Leather Jackets that you heard Matt talk about recently. And you can also see him in Scream, Blackula Scream, Satan's Triangle, and The Todd Killings. His final credits were 71 episodes of Hill Street Blues. Tragically, he died of cancer during the shooting of the show's 4th season at the age of 58. As Mikal, we have James Doughton, not to be confused with James Naughton. Born in 1950 in Chula Vista, California, he has a relatively short resume, but he made his debut in an episode of Night Gallery. You can also see him as Greg Marmalard in National Lampoon's Animal House, and he appeared in Girlfriend from Hell and Mortuary Academy. His IMDb bio is rather sparse, but there's a really weird long quote from him from the late 80s suggesting that a violence tax should be levied on films. He has only 4 credits after 1990. By the way, the summary of 1989's Girlfriend from Hell is the inventor of the condom, now God's bounty hunter, is tasked with tracking down and capturing the devil, who has possessed the body of a high school wallflower in order to feed on human souls via sex.
Sounds
Finally,
good.
as yeah, sure does. Sounds like the kind of thing that can make you lobby for a violence tax and then never get hired again. Finally, as Daku, we have Joseph Ruskin. He hailed from Haverhill, Massachusetts. It's hard to say for some reason. Played both the genie in the Twilight Zone episode The Man in the Bottle and the voice of one of the aliens in the Twilight Zone episode To Serve Man. He also had a lot of Star Trek credits, but in a different decade. He appeared in 3 episodes of Deep Space Nine, 1 episode of Voyager, 1 episode of Enterprise, and you can see him as one of the Sona officers in Star Trek Insurrection. Oh yeah, 1 episode of Beyond Belief Factor Fiction, if that counts. He passed away in 2013 at the age of 89 after retiring less than a decade earlier. And that would be the trivia.
So anyway, no confirmation on who designed that symbol, but I did learn an awful lot about the Sword of Omens. The sword
Hmm.
never cut anyone. The sword can be broken. The sword fixed a planet. Snarf used the sword. It cuts almost anything, but not people, apparently. The sword is cursed. Okay, sorry, I'm just looking at
Yeah,
trivia Thundercat sword omen details.
it's like how the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles had, like,
Weapons
what,
they didn't
two of
use.
them had sharp weapons and they never stabbed
The
anybody with
Hero
a sword.
Turtles, that is.
Yeah, why can't we just get a Ninja Turtles series where they're just cutting people into chunks and disemboweling them and
That's the
like
original comic book. That's absolutely the
shoving the
comic book.
stick into a guy's mouth and out of his butt?
I think they'd probably do that in the comic book.
Hmm.
Yeah, so story for the Planet of the Apes, not the Thundercats or the Hero Turtles, the Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles.
Oh, the mistake I made is that this was Rankin Bass and that's Ruby Spears. That's two different pairs of people's names
Okay,
who
why
made a bunch of schlocky cartoons.
why learn so much about Thundercats in the past 5 minutes? Not about this episode. I just overheard you
Well,
saying Twilight Zone episodes. I was like, am I in the wrong podcast today?
Well, you're going to learn about the Twilight Zone even more. You're going to learn about this episode. The fugitives are being harbored by a man named Janor when a guerrilla patrol led by Daku comes to collect taxes. They also steal some of the human seed, so Burke and Verdon go to steal it back. McCall, Janor's son, insists on coming along, and although they get the seed back, Daku spots McCall and reports to his superior, Aboro. Aboro has Janor's farm searched, and then McCall confesses. The guerrillas then shoot McCall and Janor and burn the farm to teach them a lesson. McCall doesn't survive, and although Janor swears vengeance on all apes, Galen calms him down by telling him that his cousin Augustus is the prefect and will make sure justice is done. But soon after Galen talks to Augustus about what happened, justice is not done because Aboro has managed to replace Augustus as prefect. Meanwhile, Urko shows up, and it turns out that he's lifelong friends with Aboro, and he got promoted more quickly than him because Aboro was caught cheating. Galen then disguises himself as Octavio, Zaius' assistant, to try to trap Aboro by pretending that Zaius is giving him Urko's job. Aboro is suspicious of Octavio and asks Daku to check with Urko if his story is real, but since there is a real Octavio, then Galen is not found out yet. Galen returns as Octavio and suggests that he plant evidence on Urko. Oboro says he has a better plan, having a human murder Urko. Octavio declines to attend the assassination. Later, Galen disguises himself as a hooded messenger to warn Urko that Oboro is plotting against him. Urko gets the jump on him and unmasks him, but then Burke and Virden get the jump on Urko. Somehow, together, they convince Urko to go to Oboro with, quote, Octavio to see for himself the plot against him. When he arrives, Urko immediately rats on Galen and the two astronauts, but then Oboro has to admit his murder plot when the doors are locked, and he is at risk of also getting blown up by the bomb. Conveniently, Alan gets hold of the bomb and uses it to escape with Galen and Pete. He reveals that he disconnected the fuse all along, so nobody will be assassinated after all. Urko will take Oboro back with him to Central City, and he is finished.
Yeah, they might have overcooked that one a bit.
I mean, you know, a sign that they overcooked it might be that immediately after, like, the last three sentences of my summary happened within about 30 seconds and the episode immediately ends. Like that's the whatever the double-edged sword of you either get a freeze frame of everyone laughing or like it just immediately ends. I think that's sort of a 1999 thing. Didn't a couple of those just end?
Yeah, especially well, season two had the laughing freeze frames, right?
Yeah.
They should have done a
Uh,
Naked Gun or Police Squad style where they were just standing very still.
yeah.
I want I want a job where I sit in an office and I come up with sci-fi character names, you know? People just come in and they're like, "Dude, I need a name." I'm like, "Aboro." Thanks, man.
I had some nice Oboro beef the other day.
Ooh, gorilla steak, is it?
I don't know. I was making it adobo. There's like adobo and there's like a dabo, a
Yeah.
bodo. A bobo. There's a bobo from Double Dragon. He's not a gorilla.
Janor. That's not even the one that's in this episode. It was something else. It was something like that. I've already forgotten everyone's
What?
name.
No, that's Jane. It's Janor. Janor.
I told you I said it wrong when it came
It's
out of
that
my
guy
mouth.
who's kind of stupid.
Yeah.
He's a big dumb guy. It's like the humans in this are weirdly like you talking about the humans getting dumber. Like this one definitely had some humans that were kind of super. Just like
Granted, the gorillas are getting dumber too. Well, I don't know. They're into
yeah,
subterfuge in this episode, but it's dumb
no.
subterfuge.
It's like this thing where they're dumb as hell, but then Urko has what feels like whatever plot, not plot armor. What do you call it when it's like he has omniscient script reading or something? He sees through everybody, but also I cannot believe. I know there's like no consistency in this series, but like the movie compilation pairs this with the horse race.
Right?
So, do you remember the part in this episode where a Boro was like Urko never approved of corruption?
We just watched him approve of
Where
corruption.
he that entire episode was just him corruption. It was just wall to wall Urko corruption. It's insane. Like
Urko
there is
doesn't
no.
other people's if you are corrupting, he has a problem with that. If he's corrupting, it's fine.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. The moral inconsistency is just maddening. Like I don't I can't even like Star Trek has always played with like maybe the Federation is kind of bad sometimes. Like I can't think of a single like I cannot think of any instance where they've come anywhere near like this level of just is just absolutely hypocritical. Like the apes are just terrible. I just like don't. I'm supposed to. I don't know if I'm supposed to hate their society, but I'm like
Of course you are.
they're so fixated on like we're incorruptible. We're maybe is it supposed to be like a parody of like communist Russia or something? I guess that tracks. It's like
The apes are
you just say
party
anything.
members and the humans are not.
Yeah. What all animals are equal, but some are more equal.
Yeah. Maybe you're cracking a code. I don't know.
I mean, that's George Orwell. I didn't make that
Well, I
up.
know that's George
Uh,
Orwell. I'm talking about for the ape series.
yeah, I don't think. I think it's just. I think it's just something where the show tells you what it needs to tell you, and I'm like, whoa, man.
Animal Farm
There,
is a very short book. I've read it a few times.
yeah, it's like
I
40 pages.
think it's longer than that, but whatever.
It is short enough that you can trick a child into reading it. I think that's
Yes.
part of why it's one of the most brilliant things ever made. Because I absolutely was tricked into like I learned things, but I learned a lot more rereading as an adult. But when I was a kid, I was like, oh, I'm you know
I did
animal.
right though, because you love to throw out the word dystopian. I keep saying, "Oh, it's not for the apes," but this one has some solid dystopian dread that'll factor into our questions later. But I just like at least I guess that's the subterfuge thing, you know, where I don't know, it makes the flavor slightly different. But yeah, it's not a distinctive flavor. The only like I think we've already alluded to, the only thing we're really going to come out of this episode with is Galen as Octavius, which is also weird because isn't Galen already Zeus's assistant? Wasn't that his job in the first episode?
Yes, that's that is part of the fun, is that he's sort of playing. he technically was Zayas' assistant, and it's super weird to me that Zayas keeps getting brought up over and over and over again, never shows up in the show. It's like you
Showed up a
think
couple
that,
times.
yeah, but I feel like the ratio of being mentioned to being to appearing is like pretty high. Um, what was I gonna say? Yeah, it's definitely what Augustus is the only. I didn't even put Augustus in my trivia, did I? Well, he
Oh
was
well,
barely in this.
yeah.
Augustus Augustus is like, shown to be like it seems like Galen sort of has comes from good like a good family that's
We've met his
friendly and
family. We know his
stuff.
family.
Yeah. But Augustus is immediately just get out of here. You're overthrown.
Um, yeah, I was writing that human teens are extra dumb in the Planet of the Apes, and then a minute later he says, "I won't be nothing." So I thought that I won't be
But
nothing is nothing without no triple negative. You know what I'm saying?
it's also really ridiculous. It's like ridiculous convenience that right when all this stuff happens, like Oboro just takes his job right after he does a bunch of horrible stuff you know, to our
Truth is stranger
fugitives.
than fiction,
Urko
man. Truth is
Urko
stranger than
immediately shows
fiction.
up. Yeah. Urko immediately shows up like, "Hey, it's Urko. Oh, how's it
I'm
going?
here for
Remember
my
all that
paycheck.
stuff that happened? Hey, all this stuff. Remember all the stuff that means I can't trust you and you can't trust me? Ha 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 ha."
um,
Anyway,
you want to be a grain thief? That could be fun, right?
I mean, stealing a man's
Like,
seed is very funny.
yes, your job is stealing a man's seed.
I don't know. I feel like I feel like every time we see humans on a farm and gorillas show up, they either like burn the farm or just harass them
And
or
or
just
kill them.
horrible things. Only horrible things happen. So like, how many farms could there even be? Like, did all the humans die because gorillas just kept showing up and burning their farms and
Well, that's why
murdering
they
them?
don't have farms in the movies, I guess. All the farms
Yeah,
got
it's
burned
just.
down.
But it's like I can't imagine that. Okay, like what's the point of burning? Like, if you burn the farm, then you can't take any more of their grain, right? Like, this just seems like a kind of a society defeating proposition. It's you know what I mean? It's like if I understand like if the mob doesn't get protection money and they like whatever blow up your restaurant, it's like they're just find another restaurant. But it's like this is like they provide things for the
Here it's just like the
community.
gorillas are here. We're burning up your stuff. Ha
Yeah.
ha ha
Yeah, like you stole your stuff back from us, so we'll burn all your entire farm. It's
ha.
like just steal more stuff, you know? Like it's
Well,
just ridiculous. Like they'll farm more stuff. Just keep stealing from them. It doesn't.
there's
It doesn't make sense. Your
there's
gorillas
your
just stupid.
dystopian dread.
It's just stupid. They're just dumb. Like don't burn the farm. If you're listening and you're thinking about burning a farm down, don't just keep going back and taking their seed.
Well, I think you left out your trivia that Mel Gibson remade this episode twice for both when he was played Braveheart and when he played the Patriot.
Yeah, this definitely has some whatever energy 90s period piece energy, I guess.
You don't, does it?
I don't know. It's just it's sort of this weird thing where it doesn't it feels like a few ideas grafted together because like the whole subterfuge thing is awkward and hammy and thrown together, but it's just so fun watching Galen be Octavio that I like don't really care. And also, I mean, Aboro is also fun, and Urko is always fun. So I'm just, it's not like a brilliant like nobody has any reason to trust anybody, and I guess they don't trust anybody. But like Aboro cannot resist like murder, so that's if he just
I'll
had
murder the
resisted.
lot of you.
Look, if he just hadn't set up a bomb that he couldn't deal with, then nothing would have. Then they would have won. They had everybody where they wanted them. Like they could have just. In fact, I mean, they could have just shot the humans and Galen pretty early if
Didn't we
Urko
already do
was
the bomb thing in our earlier episode? Was it the horse race?
it
No,
was a
they were just
grenade.
gonna. Huh?
The pilot had a grenade in it.
Oh yeah, 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 that's what I'm
But
thinking of.
that was like, that was like look at these humans bringing this technology and now they're going to ruin society. But, meanwhile, gorillas just have big bombs anyway.
Yeah.
So, whatever.
Maybe I was thinking of that
Moral
prisoner
inconsistency.
episode where they're gonna blow up the new village leader, new number one, two, whatever it was.
New number two. There's no new number one. What are you talking about? Um,
I'm
I
gonna
don't
go make
remember
a new
which
number
one.
two, folks.
Was that the one where he was like going crazy because he was
That's
doing
every episode of The Prisoner.
no, where the number two was going crazy because he was trying to brainwash number
It,
six and he
it
wasn't
might
doing
be.
it.
I don't, not to slight the show, but I would need to at least revisit like a plot synopsis of that one to really work it out.
Hey,
Um,
if you want to revisit the show, listen to In Prison, and In Prisoner, Prison Cast, Prison.
you think you'll ever watch that show again? That is the thing. Once you do a podcast, like, well, been there, done that. Probably won't do it again.
I
Maybe.
think I
I don't
will.
know. Yeah,
I think I
10 years
will.
down the line, I could see
Um,
rewatching The Prisoner. I gotta give it some
Partly
time though.
because I would be more likely to rewatch that than Space 1999
Mm,
or this, to
right.
be honest. I well, watching Severance recently, it reminds me of The Prisoner, so it makes me kind of it's like every once in a while I think about The Prisoner and I'm like, huh, yeah. It sort of makes me think about it retroactively, which is not a lot of things, you know? Like
No, it has layers and stuff. That was the reason that we focused on that particular one, isn't it?
I'll probably watch Twilight Zone again.
Well, that's just something that shows up in a regular. You go to sleep and put on one, right? If you want to have
Yeah.
disturbing dreams. Um, that's how I've been watching Lower Decks. So I might wake up
Hmm.
like I put on the second disc of season one. I started watching the first episode. I woke up and it was like the end of the season. I was like, oh, I took a serious nap in there. Okay, that's fine
Hmm.
though.
I can't really fall asleep while watching TV.
Mm. It's
I
probably
can only
bad for you.
watch
Probably not a good idea, but it's the way to half watch things. Things where it's like if I fall asleep, it's fine.
I can fall asleep watching a movie at someone else's house, and
There
that's
we
sort
go.
of it.
Yeah,
That's it for some
I'm
reason.
looking through my notes and it's really
Oh,
just
and
not
theater.
right.
Watching a movie in the theater, I've fallen asleep a couple of
Oh
times.
yeah, as I've gotten older, I've become a sleepier theater goer. I told you I woke up and I thought Barbie was having a joke about fake credits, but those were the real credits because I had accidentally taken a nap.
Well, I watched Hideaki Anno's first live action film, like the guy who made Neon Genesis Evangelion. I didn't realize that he made a live action film in the '90s about like high school girls who hang out with older otaku for money,
That
and it
doesn't
was
sound fun.
a lot of it. Well, a lot of it was it just sort of shifts from being kind of vibes, which is part that I slept through, to being extremely unpleasant.
Right. Um, hey, here's something. I think we've decided that Galen would be more fun to hang out with than Cornelius or Caesar, yeah?
Yeah,
Would you want to hang out with Octavio or Galen then?
I want to hang out with Octavio. I mean, but you've got probably a 90% chance if you hang out with Octavio of just being like, "All right, be gone. I'm done with you."
Well, if you're a
So
gorilla,
he
maybe.
he turns to someone else and says, "Tell him to leave."
Yeah, I guess he might
Right.
be. He wouldn't be that hospitable, unfortunately. You're right.
It
Um,
reminds me of here's here's a controversial take. It reminds me of my favorite episode of Star Trek Picard where they all dress up as weird French people.
that was pretty fun. Yeah.
That was my favorite episode of that series. I do not care.
Yeah, I don't know if I go that far, but I definitely liked Patrick Stewart doing a fake, actually faking the Frenchman for once, right?
Yeah, and it was meta, but it was also just I just love a weird heist where everyone dresses up and it's all weird and crazy. So naturally, I did like this episode because this was weird.
It is weird. Yeah, I'm gonna take Octavia away with me for sure, but yeah, otherwise it was just like dense nonsense, which is a little hard to like. It's kind of ephemeral for me, I think. Like I
I mean, it's
won't
hard
remember
to.
this one so well. Where was the one where Galen went extra weird? Because he's gone pretty weird in other episodes too.
Yeah, I mean, we had him in drag I think last week,
Right. Yeah.
and
So
that was only one of his costumes. But yeah, he's just turning into Bugs Bunny. which is great. I don't know, but like what a great idea. Yeah, the plot does basically it's not like you would expect something like this with a bunch of lying in it to be kind of like a tight like sort of a tight loop, like if it
Like a
was a
70s
Columbo episode or
conspiracy
something.
movie or something.
Yeah, like a mystery or something, or like a Columbo episode would be like a nice tight loop. This is just like a series of turns. It just turns left and turns left and turns left and turns left and turns left,
That's like
and
life, man.
you don't remember where you started because when I started writing the story for this episode, I forgot everything that happened in the beginning. I forgot there were humans in this episode at all.
Oh, well, yeah, I definitely am like, we're Pete and Alan even in this episode? Which they are. I remember Pete was up in a tree at one point. But yeah,
Okay,
like
humans aside from them.
those
Sorry.
oh,
Yeah, I remember
even
them.
they barely stick in this episode. This is all ape stuff, right?
Yeah. But I mean, if this was a modern series, this is one of those where it's like if this is a modern series, like I could absolutely see this episode like a tighter version of this
Yeah.
episode being in it. This is a modern like the problems this episode has are modern problems.
I
But
guess
it also
Alan fights a
has
horse at one point.
yeah. I mean it's, it's got it like the idea of we're going to go off with these kind of secondary characters and drill down on them is like a very modern thing about the show, and I think that man, this might be I don't know, not a high bar, probably top 5 episode. I
Out of
mean,
11 episodes you watched.
out of 11 episodes, yes, top
Um,
5.
no, and of course there is a proper table flip, so that's nice.
Mm-hmm.
I love the table flip. Oh, this one I did notice there's s- about the 75% mark. They start putting in this like weird synth music, which I don't think we've heard much of before. So, and then a minute
um
after it goes back into more like kind of like typical um television stuff.
that music does show up in the interrogator. I remember it because
Oh,
this
yes, yes.
the
I think
automatically
we talked.
generated subtitles just said
Mhm.
no, 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 no,
Yeah,
no,
we
no,
talked
no,
about
no,
it
no.
then too, didn't we? I called it out in that
Uh,
episode. So I guess I just like that little bit of score.
it's again, inside baseball, it's been like 3 weeks since we recorded one of these.
Yeah. Um, so I guess we'll do a few questions. I've kind of like wrung my notes out as much as I can here. I mean, we're a page of them, but yeah. So, how much of this episode is existential dread? How much of it is, I don't know, dystopian fun?
Well,
Phrasing a little bit different this week because it
big.
seems to work that way.
I was just gonna say 33% fun because Octavio, and then 66% dread because of Urko and Aboro.
I mostly agree with you. I was gonna go 40 for the fun and six. No, I was gonna go 40 for the dread and 60 for the fun. Octavia is too much fun
Yeah.
to for me to like. I think this one does. There's a few weeks ago where I was like, oh, like they really want it to be more the like movie dread, but they're really not doing it. Whereas this one, at least, the problem is that the plot is confusing. The dystopian dread part here kind of works well.
Well,
I'm using the word
again,
dystopian way too much because now I'm talking about dystopian
yeah.
dread and dystopian fun, but
Well, again, unfortunately, it's like we you can't really. We still haven't seen Urko kill anybody, right? Oboro is
he's all bark and
obviously a
no bite.
menace. Oboro is a menace, but also he's a stupid menace. So like it's hard to get super invested in him as a
And an
threat,
idiot.
and there's
Hey, the
always
most
the
threatening people are often idiots.
well, yeah, that the idea that it's like, oh, are they evil or are they stupid is really ridiculous because basically the way it works is that a lot of the most evil people are stupid because stupid people are at their core frightened. They understand their mediocrity and they have to they feel like they have to do evil to survive. Like most people I've known that are chronic cheaters are stupid. Most people, I don't know. That's probably controversial. I don't care if it's controversial. Who gives a shit? They cheat on their partners. Fuck them. Like really, most of
I like how that's the most obscene
censor
you've gotten
that.
on this show, which you're allowed to on this show, but
Whatever. No, but like honestly, it's like a lot of the people I know have been like the least faithful to their various partners are like not particularly smart. And I feel like there's something there that's like, oh no, I'm gonna be alone, so I have to make sure that I sleep with everybody
Mm.
because I'm stupid. Anyway, but yeah, there's always the specter of like we know that our leads won't die, so if there were more people for Urko to kill or something, then but we do see like a child get shot in the back. So
Yeah, but
it's
Urko
not
didn't do that. Urko's a
no.
bunny,
No, Urko I still
a
maintain that Urko's
screaming
probably
bunny.
he's never killed anyone. It's I hope we get that at the end of the series.
Like I said, he finally accidentally kills someone. He's like, ah, that'd be
No, he
great.
just has to be like, I've never killed anyone. Ah! He has to scream it.
They call him a
Uh,
murderer, and he says, "I've never killed anyone." Yeah, screams it.
I'm so happy that Mark Leonard is here, just getting to do so much Urkoing. It's just like it's just a perpetual joy. Oh,
Yeah, I need an Urko T-shirt or something that screams
hell
at you.
yeah.
It screams at people that see the T-shirt.
A screaming t-shirt. Yes, that's what we need.
How many bananas are you giving this episode?
I'm giving it 7 bananas, 5 for Octavio, and then 1 for each of the gorillas.
Okay, I was giving it four. I was for each convoluted and inconsequential plot line. I'm
Yeah.
estimating four. I can't sit here and tell you what those four plot lines were, but like I think Alan and Pete had one of them. I don't remember what that was.
I don't think they did. I think it was
Okay,
basically
then three
there, you could
bananas.
say the plot, the farm plot. There's the farm plot, the Augustus plot, the the Aboro murder plot, and then the Urko manipulation plot. So there you
Okay,
go.
you earned
That's
it back.
4.
You earned its other banana back. I was not going to do that brain
Hmm.
work by any means. I was just going to let it be, which maybe
I
is
mean, I
not
had
me
to write
doing
the
due
summary.
diligence, but yes, true. That helps. Is
Uh,
there anything else you want to toss out on this episode? You want to be a tosser for this episode?
um, again, it's pretty cool. Like late in the series, comeback continues here.
Okay.
So
I guess short reviews, you
hoping,
liked it better than me, but there's some very fun stuff in here.
yeah, I'm hoping that it continues to be fun for the next 3 episodes, especially the last one with the whatever flying machine will be in
I
it.
think I think we're 11 and the only one where I was like that episode 8 it was the blind chimpanzee that falls in love with Pete. That's the only one where I'm like, man, that
Yeah,
sucked.
you're right. That kind of is the main bad one. That just was almost dead center in the middle of the series. So it's
And it's
just
episode 11. You have a bad one. That's fine. So, you know.
yeah, it's but there's I could almost just give this episode 7 bananas just based on like how mind-boggling it is that we're supposed to believe that apes aren't corrupt.
Well,
It's
they
just
just say it.
insane.
It's like how in Star Trek Vulcans say they're always logical and
Uh-huh.
Klingons do everything with honor, right? But it's kind of,
Yeah,
BS.
that's actually true. You can barely if you took a cross section of all the Klingon episodes, you'd find very little honor. But that's also where drama comes from, right? It's like, oh no, it's a dishonorable Klingon and an angry Vulcan and
A laughing Vulcan,
a greedy, I don't know,
a,
greedy gorilla.
a courteous gorilla.
This the 2 episodes. The movie with these 2 episodes is called Treachery and Greed on the Planet of the Apes. So there you go.
Yeah, okay. That works. That's a good title. Yeah.
That's a really good title. In fact, I mean, if I'm at the video store and I see Treachery and Greed on the Planet of the Apes, might have to pick that one up if it's
Yeah.
whatever
I've,
1983 and I have a VCR.
we'll have to get another guest or two in just so we can make them come up with new convoluted titles as we did with the last few.
Yes,
um,
yes,
you don't know, you want to wrap this guy up for today then?
yep.
Like the
And if
inventor
you
of the
want
condom who's now
treachery,
God's bounty hunter?
yes, if you would like to be God's bounty hunter, then go to Patreon. I mean, podcastiopodcastius.org. Find other podcasts like Monster Mash, Game Show, Films and Filth, Time Enough Podcast, Cult Disney, Lucas Pokemon, and Podcast 1999. This podcast, which you're listening to now, because you on unlike gorillas are morally consistent. Also, speaking of morally consistent, follow some Blue Sky at podcast.
It felt like an ending, so I just stopped talking.
I was trying to think of an Octavio line and I just couldn't.
Get out!
Yeah,
Maybe that works. Okay,
sure,
yeah,
one of
I got to
those.
start moving sooner and later, so I will stop the recording now. Bye-bye to the listeners.